Hi, this is Chris from Hale Guitar Studio, and in this video we're going to be getting this Fender Jaguar on the bench. So the Fender Jaguar was released in the 1960s, originally intended for the surfer rock scene, but it really struggled to take off until the 80s and 90s, when artists like Kurt Cobain of Nirvana and John Frusciante of the Red Hot Chili Peppers probably picked it because of its iconic look. This is the Vintera 2 70s issue. It's got an alder body and a maple neck and a maple fretboard, and just look at those big black block fret markers, really striking. It's got a 7.25 inch fretboard radius, which is quite curved, and then a nice C-shaped carve on the back, so the neck feels really comfortable. What's really striking about the Jaguar is this shorter scale length. It's only 24 inches from bridge to nut, which is shorter than the Les Paul even, and makes the string bending and vibrato really comfortable. The other thing, of course, is this crazy switching system that gives you all sorts of options, and we'll talk through that whilst it's on the bench. So what we're going to do is take the strings off, give it a good clean, get it set up, which is probably going to involve taking the neck off because the truss rod adjustments at this end, which is always fun, and yeah, get this in tip-top condition again. Okay, so here's that Fender Jaguar on the bench, the Vintera 2. We're going to take the strings off. We're going to give the whole thing a decent clean, make sure everything's working how it should be, get some new strings on, get it set up. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so I'm going to start with the high E, just because that's the one with the most likelihood of breaking, and just unwind the coils a bit just to take the tension out. Third string, fourth string, and then sixth. Now these fix through this part of the tailpiece, which serves as a tremolo, with the ball ends just sticking through. So rather than pull untidy sharp ends all the way along the guitar and cause scratches, I'm going to pop them out of the top, because these are the lovely tuners, like the old Telecaster tuners with the string end that pops down the inside, which means you don't have any scratchy ends to injure your hand or scratch your gig bag if you use one. I'm going to pop these off. That one doesn't want to come. There you go, thank you. And that one. And then, as I say, I'm going to take my cutters. These are old gnarly strings. They're on their way out, so I'm just going to cut them. Get rid of the sharp, spiky ends. Just to stop it flopping around, I'm going to pull this bridge out. We'll talk a bit more about that later. And then I'll just poke these through nice and gently. One stayed behind. There you go. Right, they're all off. Coil them up so they take up less space. A bit like your recycling. Flatten your cardboard. Now this doesn't go anywhere, it's just loose, it's just flopping down, so that's great. I'm not worried about that. Obviously when I turn it over, I'm just going to keep it tidy. But the next thing to do is just to give it a clean. So Okay, right, so we're clean at least. So what I'm going to do now is just pop a touch of wax on, just to make the finish really nice and smooth and shiny and new. Get it back to that just out of the factory showroom look. This is probably one of the most satisfying parts of my job. Just taking a guitar that has been well used over the year and bringing it back to like new. I like the kind of tortoiseshell pickguard, and it's 5-ply, so it's got a nice kind of edge around, really kind of stands out, a bit like a border. Got a rectangle around your writing, really helps it stand out. Incoming, another email incoming. Just remember to turn those speakers down while I'm recording. Right. Somewhere in this under the desk pickle is my buffing cloth. Shiny, shiny, shiny. We had a band rehearsal last night. I don't do many band rehearsals. The band don't do many band rehearsals because we know our set well, but it's time to add a few extra songs. And I got to play Killing in the Name Of. What a great song to play that was. Huge fun, loved it. Looking forward to gigging that at the weekend. I'm thinking towards the end of the set will be a good place when everybody's a bit loosened up and happy to start shouting. Okay, looking gorgeous. So I've checked in. 10s is what's going on this, that's what it ships with. First, this bridge. So this isn't the original bridge that the guitar ships with, it's an upgrade. And one of the challenges that people have with this guitar, so there's a couple of posts. This is what raises and lowers the string height, the Allen keys down the side, and they just fit straight in the hole like that. Just did those posts, just slot in those holes, and that's what enables the whole kind of tremolo system to operate well. But sometimes people find the tuning a bit unstable because it does just move about so much. And there are upgrades. You can buy posts and all sorts of things. One of the things I've done a couple of times for people is just wrap some tape around the leg and then it just packs it out and holds it tight. It stops it rattling, so it keeps the tuning a bit more stable. But it does compromise the vibrato side of things a little. I'm just looking for one of my brushes to try and get into the crevices between the actual saddles. Give this one a bit of a clean when it's off the guitar. So what I'm going to do is lift this tailpiece, pop the string through and then pull it through, just being careful that the ball end doesn't land and scratch the paintwork. I'm going to take the string up to the tuning peg that I want to go to. Now normally with a 6-in line I'd go 2 on, but these are the string through the middle pegs, so I'm going to go 2 on and then just a little bit more, just to give me the space I need to feed the string into the middle of the peg. So pop them in. Pop them in. They're not as deep on these ones actually. Some of them you get quite a lot of string in. And then what I'm aiming for is 2 to 3 string windings. We're just coming round to the 3rd. And that's perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm after. Good. Okay, right, so we're going to take the next one, which is a 36. Unwind. I quite like how Ernie Ball package their strings individually in little paper envelopes, all wound up, easy to unwind. I just like how they work. So we're going to go to the tune that I need, 2 up and just a touch more for this particular guitar. So on others I might go a little bit further if the more string falls into the peg. And then wind it on. There's its first winding, its second winding, the third winding. Okay, next string. Lovely. Okay, right, so now we're up to tune. The next thing to do is to check the neck relief. And pop a capo on so that I've got a pinch point at one end. And then finger at the other end. And then we're just going to pop that feeler gauge at about the 8th fret. If anything, I think that's a touch high. Now, to bring that down, I'm going to have to release the neck a bit, because the truss rod adjustment, because this is a traditional design, the truss rod adjustment is at this end, which is more of a challenge. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the pickguard off and see if there's a channel here, but looking at it, the pickup's going to be in the way anyway. So I'm going to have a look underneath the pickguard to see what's going on, but it's highly likely I'm going to have to lift the neck slightly, which I have to be cautious because the paint around here can sometimes get a bit damaged, but we'll see. Good, okay, right. I mean, this is an incredibly irritating design. Let's put this bridge out. Because of course I'm going to adjust the truss rod, tighten it up a little bit. Put the strings all back on, bring them all the way back up to pitch, and hope that the truss rod is neither too loose or too tight. Too tight would be more of a concern. It's too loose and the action's just a bit higher than it might otherwise be. But the guitar ships with 10 to 46, so you'd think it would be set up in the factory right. You'd hope it was. Now what I'm expecting is I'm going to release this and see that there is in no way any access to the truss rod adjustment. But stand by it. Indeed, there is in no way any access to the truss rod adjustment. Bits of leftover pickguard. In fact, now carefully just get rid of the debris that's sitting around underneath the pickguard, because it's better off than on. Once the pickguard's off, it might as well have a bit of a clean where it was. Right, and now comes the fun bit. Gonna lay this down and take my larger screwdriver and just gently undo the screws that are holding this neck in place. The ones at the front I'm going to practically release out of the maple neck on the inside. Which will make it easier for me to lift the neck. So I'm going to put that away for a second. We're going to hold the neck nice and firmly. Tip the guitar over onto its back. I don't want the neck to move any more than it has to. Lovely. Now we can just arch it back a bit, and now I can get to the truss rod adjustment. So I really don't want to be easier to take this pickup out, which I might do in a second. In fact, hold you in place. I reckon that is going to be enough. So we're going to get that pickguard back in place now. pop it in beside the pickups, move the screwdriver out of the way, take the screws and reverse the operation. The guitar I worked on yesterday was an old Strat that I'll upload at some point. Had horrible, it's an old, well, same as this, 7.25 radius, and as soon as you bent the string, it choked out like mad. And there was an issue with the frets. It's had a bit of a fret level, but also the truss, the neck relief was so bent that, of course, you had a low point here and a high point here, and it was just fretting out. So that helped too, but it didn't solve the problem. It just improved the situation. Okay, right, so we're up to pitch, so there's the right amount of tension on the neck. Fit my pinch point capo. Cross your fingers. Don't want to do that again. Now that is looking much more respectable. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's good. Any tighter and it's going to start to buzz. So neck relief success. What we're going to do now is sort the string height out because it's a bit on the high side. Let's come down a little bit. So I need to find the right Allen key for this bridge. That's not biting. This is a 1.5mm, which is doing what I want it to do. So I actually want this to come down. So I'm going to loosen it, which is going to loosen the screw at the bottom and lower the bridge height. And then on this side, I want this to come down because that's sitting at, I'll be that way, that's sitting at sort of 1.5mm, and I want it more like 1.25, which is where it is now. I'll just go back and check this, which is 1.75. So that's a good setup. Well, just while we're here, next step of the process for me is just to check the pickup height. And if I remember right, the pickups were really high on this. Although, actually, well, that's silly high on that side. So these screw straight into the body. It's still high. Take it down a bit on this side as well. Yep, good. Okay, we'll bring this one down. Oh, that's loose already. That screw's a bit worn. That's better. That's already good. Right. Now the thing I'm really curious to see is what's this intonation like, because I don't think it's right. So we've got an E. We've got an E flat. Oh no, actually that's better. So there's, say E flat, I mean just flat of an E, not E flat. That would be a whole semitone down, which would mean the bridge is probably in the wrong place, and that seems unlikely. Yeah, that's fine, that's good. That seems okay. I was expecting it to be a little bit sharp. That's good. That's okay. That's sharp. It's a bit sharp. Oh, that's okay. I mean, I'll test that sharp. I'll test this finally at the sound desk. That's pretty good too, okay. So we just needed to move this one from so far forward to back a bit, and that seems to have sorted it. But again, we'll have a final little test at the desk. So just a quick run through the Jaguar Switching, if you're unfamiliar with it. So I'm just going to plug into my little Roland cube that I've had for longer than I care to remember. Okay, so the switch up here, a bit buzzy. The switch up here is, but you engage this switch and then you've got this pickup, and it's called the rhythm section. So in the up position, and then what I've got is a volume thumb wheel and a tone thumb wheel, dark sounding. None of these do anything. So this switch basically engages this pickup and this plate. Turn that off, and I've now got two pickups here. So that's nothing, off. Now I've got, if I get a little, where's my tweezers? Take my tweezers. That's working, that's not. Put this on, that's working, that's working. Turn that off, that's not working, that's working. This last switch, I put them both on. That's a cut in the bass. That's adding the bass in. So if we just go with the neck pickup, it really kind of pushes that bass. But here it's going to kind of cut through the middle. With both of them engaged, I've got maximum hum cancelling. Take one off and I've got a single coil that is a bit buzzy, but that's much better. And of course now, because I'm here, volume, tone, and these do absolutely nothing. So this switch engages this control and this pickup. These switches, if that's off as it is now, down, you've got pickup, pickup, bass cut, volume, tone, and that's how a Jaguar Switching works. Great, okay, so I'm going to take this to the desk now and give it its final setup and check, make sure I haven't got any fret buzz, make sure it's playing smoothly and the intonation's right, give it its final playthrough. I'd love to play some Kurt Cobain for you, but let's not get into the world of copyright. There are plenty of videos out there of people playing this lovely guitar. Thanks for watching.